Welcome to another episode of the Besties Building Brands podcast. We have a super special guest today. His name is Beacon Fyah. He is the owner of Life Alchemy Transform Life Coaching, and he also runs a New Fire Marketing company. We are excited to have him on the show. He has an awesome story, and he's doing great things in the community. So I can't wait for you guys to hear all about the good things that he's doing. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up? What's up? So glad to be here.
Excited to have you. So I'm going to jump right into it. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm not really all that interesting, but I will tell you that I love people and I love life. Right now, I'm going through chemo, got stage 4 colon cancer. I know that's kind of big to come and hit you with, but I'm loving life in spite of it, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up. Just right off at the top, because I'm loving life in spite of the struggle that I'm having, and really beginning to appreciate life a lot more. So it empowers me to do what I do naturally.
Yeah, that is kind of heavy to start the show off with, but that's part. What not the whole reason, but one of the main reasons why I want to have you on the show because even though that's what you're dealing with right now, you're still helping people. You're still helping to transform lives, and I think that's important to be able to give back to the community any way you can. But let's start at the beginning. How what type of childhood did you have? How did you become Beacon
Whoa.
Fire?
Well, that's a heavy question to start off with.
Okay.
My childhood was, oh man, it was crazy, to say the least. I grew up in West Philadelphia. I have some strange memories. I don't even know how I remember some of the stuff I remember, but there was, some. My mom grew up. I grew up with my mom. She was an alcoholic, and she was, using crack at the time. So she was, a crackhead, alcoholic, going most of the time. And my dad was like that too. So it was kind of rough. We got passed around from family to family, members, yeah, I mean, to try to, stay, afloat while my mom was going through her addiction. So rough childhood, and then, I ended up at my grandma's house where we kind of got grounded. And then mom came back home, so that was a big thing. But dad was missing for the most part, so, still had some things and some scars I had to work through. But, it allowed me to learn a lot from myself, as I went through some of that stuff. I wrote something once called None Wasted, how I look back at all of the experiences I had in my life. And I look back at them, and if I can rescue some treasures out of that, some nugget, some jewel, just something to take out of that situation, that's not a wasted part of my life. That is not a wasted scenario. There is something in there that I can unearth and carry into my life. For me, not having a father that was not there, I can experience that with somebody and tell you're not alone out here. There's somebody who's been there and went through the same thing. Somebody who might be dealing with family members that are drug addicts. I've been there. So these are
Mhm.
Jews that I would never have had if I didn't experience what I experienced.
And I tell you what, the majority of us had parents that did that during that time. That's kind of when the crack
Yeah.
epidemic started coming through the city. So you're not alone in that. But what I will say is you're one of the most positive people that I know. So how did you take that experience and not hold bitterness in your heart? How did you transform that into the positive person that you are now? And like to just this whole new persona that you have that you use while coaching people.
Well, one of the things that I begin to look at is that, like my mom had a sickness. So
Mm,
I mean, could I hold that against her?
mm-hmm,
I mean, I was abandoned. I was left, in situations that I could have really lived without.
mm,
But in the same token, you know what I mean? She had a sickness. My dad had a sickness. They had these things that was going on in their lives. So there you go. There goes the emerging of a coach right there. I'm recognizing what's going on in other people's lives that's causing them to be malfunctioned, and that's the biggest thing that I do when I coach. I don't do a lot of programs and walkthroughs and things of that nature. My approach is to really figure out what's going on with that person and really tailor something to that person's life, whether it's business or personal. They're both the same to me because a business person is a person at the end of the day. So if you're
mm-hmm.
dealing with other issues and traumas in your life and you're not dealing with that, how effective are you going to be in running a business? I mean, you got to be real with yourself.
And how did you incorporate, those principles that you've learned, I guess, that you use in your coaching program into your marketing business? How do the two align with each other?
That's a good question, and it's a real simple answer. When you're marketing, you're promoting yourself. So the best way to promote yourself is to become the best version of yourself. Now I do other things like flyers and videos and things of that nature, and I incorporate that into it. But it's all tailored again from my experience and my relationship with the person that I'm working with. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to mold that into your graphic or your flyer or your logo or whatever. So it all kind of is connected because really like to connect with the person, and it's really about bringing their dream alive, whether it's coaching or whether it's even graphics.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. So I read that you incorporate spiritual principles into your coaching program as well. How are you able to, manage that?
Well, see, to me, everything is spiritual. You could call it whatever you want to call it, but there's a realm outside of what we can see. Some people call it the ether, the great beyond. There's many different type of concepts that we have concerning what we know to be spiritual. So when it comes to coaching and things of that nature, I have to understand that first you are a spiritual being. So I got to treat that spiritual being. That's the holistic approach of coaching. If you want to be out honest, if I'm going to treat you holistically, I have to realize that you are a spiritual person. And I'm not talking about a religious person. I'm not talking about just a particular religion like Christianity or Muslim or Buddhism or anything like that, but a spiritual being. And you have a spirit, and I must be able to address that even in coaching.
And when you're helping people transform their lives or just move from one place in their life to another, how do you help them overcome fear and insecurity? Because most people don't like change, and especially a big change like that when you're actually moving from one place in your life to another. People are fearful and they're insecure. They don't know. How do you help them overcome that?
Well, that's a very big thing to really have to deal with, especially when it comes to, everybody is afraid of change, but what I help people to understand is that change is inevitable. You're not going to be able to escape any change if you're going to grow. Grow means change. I mean, so if you're trying to grow yourself or grow a business, there's going to be some changes that you're going to have to make. So the first thing is becoming real with yourself and realizing that yes, change is going to be a part of any process, unless I desire not to be growing at all, because that's a part of growth. And when you realize that and you help people to deal with those insecurities, that the reason why we're changing is not because we're a worse version, we just haven't become to a full version of ourselves. It's no better best version of yourself. We execute from our level of understanding. So as we learn ourselves and we begin to self excavate and dig and ask ourselves the right questions so that we can find the right answers, then we begin to know ourselves better enough to trust ourselves and really begin to expand who we are, our potentials, and all those things, and bring our own dreams into existence. So,
And that's a great answer. um, so, what have been some of the most rewarding moments in your career as a life coach?
um, I mean, when it comes to the rewards of coaching, they're numerous. When somebody hears for the first time or realizes for the first time that they uh, have to make that change in their lives if they want to grow, and they begin to get excited about it, that's reward enough. And then as they begin to take each step, because you develop your own steps in my coaching. I don't make it up for you. We learn what your soul needs, what your true self desires. And as we learn that, we begin to develop, what is your plan of action or your plan of execution. So it's nothing that I'm making up. It's something that you're making up because it's you that have all these answers inside of you. So all of that stuff starts to work together, and then you have something that is a system that you develop and you can duplicate for your own life. And I think that's one of the biggest things I think, when it comes to walking away with rewards. If I can have somebody develop a system that works for their life, and then they can duplicate that in different areas of their life and have success all around them, that's rewarding enough. So there's no one particular moment, but just having people develop that system for themselves, because then now you not only become a coachable person, but now you're able to coach other people and learning their own way of success. So
And can you break down exactly what a coach does? Right now there's this emergence of life coach, business coach, marketing coach online, and
right.
I don't think people really know exactly what that even means. What is a coach, and what exactly is a life coach?
Well, the funny thing is that I'm scared of a lot of the stuff that's out there myself, because in many cases, what you're buying is really a mentorship program. There's very few people who are doing coaching. Coaching is doing what I just said. If you look up the history of coaching and where you start talking about sports and things of that nature, the coach was designed to develop the person from who they are. This person came to the coach with their own potential, their own natural talent, and all the coach was doing was helping that person to develop. See what I'm saying? So it's not like I have some master information that I'm going to give you my steps to. I'm going to develop you to help you become who you are from the inside out. But a lot of the programs and things that we have out here right now that's being pushed on as people that's coaching is actually them giving you their steps that may or may not work for you. And the difference in what I do is I develop you, as a person that you might not have, good time management skills. And that's what you need to work on to become that person that you see as your success. You might need better people skills. You might need, more education. There's so many elements that come into play when you're talking about transforming your life that you have to really look at. And then if you're not developing that person to be that millionaire, well, that little piece of information that you gave them might carry them in the beginning, but because they're not that person, it's not going to be sustainable. And that's the biggest problem I have with stuff that's being pushed on people as coaching, but not really being coaching at all.
Do you think everybody needs a life coach?
Absolutely, everybody needs a life coach. I need a life coach. Everybody needs a life coach. If you don't have a life coach, how are you going to learn to progress yourself? Because sometimes don't we look in mirrors? I mean, if I'm going to fix myself, wouldn't I look into a mirror? The eyes of somebody like a life coach or a mentor, even a mentor. I'm not saying that all mentorships are bad. I'm just saying it's
Hmm.
being pushed off as coaching.
Right.
but even in those type of situations, you get to look into somebody else's eyes because they get to see you. And you get to say, well, what do you see about me, or what could I grow and develop in, or I mean, might need some assistance in recognizing some stuff about yourself. And I think everybody should have a person like that in their life, whether it's a paid person or just a family member. You need somebody to coach you. And I think that's one of the best things that I ever learned, because one of my earliest clients was, a life coach themselves, and they came to me and I was still green. So that was like, wow, all right, I'm a life coach fresh out of out of school, and here I got a client that's a life coach and they want me to help them. How? This is amazing.
And they saw something in you, just like you said. They saw in you what you probably didn't even see in yourself just yet.
Hey,
Um, so how do you continue to educate, improve yourself as a coach? And I'm sure you do some mentoring as well, because once people know you're a life coach, I'm sure everybody in your family is coming to you like, hey, what do you think about that? What do you think about that?
yes, for certain. But repeat that question from the top for me.
How do you continue to educate yourself and improve
Yeah,
yourself as a mentor and a coach?
yeah. I wanted to make sure I hit that good, because one of the things I always do is tell people to make sure that you're investing in yourself, and that's number one. And for a life coach, that looks different than for a lot of other people, because a lot of the stuff that I'm going to consider an investment into me, is not tangible. It's more like classes, it's more like courses, it's more like going to webinars and just hearing other people talk. It's more like TED Talks and YouTube videos, making sure that I'm, up on the knowledge industry as I should to be able to provide relevant and up to date information. Not only just my own concepts and things that I get from the ether. I mean, that's another part of what I do is meditate. because I get things that get downloaded into my spirit that are like, you know what I mean, things that are not trending things, but are things that definitely universally and groundbreaking and helps people to transition in ways that I didn't even think, you know, made sense to the beginning. I'm a super skeptic. So, you know, that was rough for me to be able to get information that I've never heard before. And after, you know, taking time to really research that stuff, I now know that I can back that information. I don't just believe it, I know it. So, you know, education, constant education, paid and, you know, free programs, you know, anywhere I could find more information, books, magazines, you know, podcasts. I'm all over the place. I'm making sure that I educate myself because I'm always a student. And I tell people that I want to forever be a student of life.
Um, and I like that you said trending, because that's important. A lot of people right now are buying courses and then creating a course off the course. They don't have any real experience, but they're going based off of what's trending. So they haven't actually helped anyone. They haven't had any real education. It's like, okay, and most times I feel like they're buying the free course. And
Right.
then you just, regurgitate that information back out there. So the fact that you mentioned trending, like that's really important. People need to really vet their coaches. They really need to, going back to what we talked about earlier, is so many people out here flooding the market and they're not real. So,
and 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 the big problem with that is they see an opportunity. Um,
mhm.
it's a, I mean, if you look at what's going on in the world right now since COVID, depression has increased crazy. Okay, depression, mental illness, there's a lot of stuff going on that's being produced as coaching material and it's supposed to be helping people, but it's not. And it's because there's a demand for it. So that's why we need people who are really awoke to become coaches. You know what I mean? And that starts with first of all helping people to be awakened. And that's what we do at Life Alchemy. You know, we make sure that people get awakened to all that they are, all the potential and greatness that is inside of us. There's so much untapped potential in this universe. And it's because it's inside of us. And we're so preoccupied with social media and everything else going on around us that we have not been connected to ourselves enough to be able to become all that we were created to be. And that's the real crime here.
Now tell me, how in the world are you doing all of these things and you have stage 4 cancer? Like you just said a lot, you're helping a lot. And I know some people that, most men, they get a cold and they can't do anything. You get a cold, you get sick, you can't even get out the bed. And you are so positive. You're really honing in on your craft. Like, how are you able to do all of this?
That's funny because I was just like telling my brother like this yesterday. I was literally just telling him that. I was saying that, you know, like my friends and my family and those who care the most about me, they're always trying to tell me like to sit down and to take it easy. But, you know, this guy inspires me. This guy gets up in pain sometimes and he gets up and he does what he does. And I'm watching this guy. I mean, it's me, but I'm watching it and it's inspiring me. It's like, this is awesome. This, you're in pain today, but you're like, I'm going to do what I can do. You know, whether it's just washing the dishes, you know, or vacuuming the floor, you know. But this is what I'm going to do, and because I'm not going to be a victim of cancer. My whole thing is that This is my fight to victory over cancer. You know, I got a lot of stuff going on with my body, but you know what? I got even more going on in my mind. The whole diagnosis is what set me ablaze with new fire. That this is not, it's no time to play with what I can give to people, how I can help people. It's no time to play because time is not certain. So yes, I have a new fire, and this is very, very, very hot to help people to master who they are and to become all that God created us to be. So yeah.
I don't even know what to say because, again, like I said, I know men out here who, they get a common cold and they just, they're on their ass. They can't do anything. So you inspired me, and I'm glad you touched on the mind. I'm going to ask you to elaborate on that too. Um, just how, we can control a lot of our environment and in our situation just by our mindset.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, so I just want you to touch on that a little bit. And it doesn't have to relate to, your diagnosis, but just in general, just in life, like with situations that people are in, like you mentioned earlier, so many people are depressed, especially since COVID. A
Right.
lot of our children are depressed. How does honing in, into your mind and the right mindset help people with that?
The mind is everything. We are mind. We our consciousness is what we live. Everything else is just a part of. Our bodies are just a vehicle, but our mind is not our brain. Okay, we have a physical body that has a physical brain, but our spiritual body has a mind. So we are spirit beings, and our mind is what helps us to navigate both the spiritual and the physical realm. So we are that powerful that we actually operate in two realms, and we don't even think about it on a consistent basis. I mean, just think about that part, right? So first of all, you are mind. But one of our biggest philosophies when you think about life alchemy transform is that we believe if you transform your mind, you transform your life. And it boils down to how do we think about life and how do we approach life. I mean, even when it comes to things about, how we want to change our lives, we ingest so much information about who we are supposed to be through television, through social media, and things of that nature that we really don't have an idea of who we want to be. We have an idea of what we're supposed to be according to all the information that we have ingested over time. So even that has become tainted in and of itself. Just think about how much control of who you want to be is that you actually have over yourself, because circumstances and situations have caused you to change even your original intent in life. So that's a big thing, your mind. So, but then you have to get to the point where you can gain control of your mind again, and that starts with internal reflection, introspection, and then that correction piece at the end. Is just those three elements is very important. And introspection, reflection, and then correction. And that's I can go into depth without about that, but we don't have that much time because that's a whole teach. But those three things is a part of the self excavation process where you begin to unearth yourself and really bring yourself to the forefront so that you become a more present version of yourself, where you start to merge the conscious and the subconscious mind together and really take over your life. And that's what I'm in the process of doing. I'm not there yet. I know that this is a process, and I'm growing in it every day. Making sure lately that I do at least 20 minutes of meditation a day, because I need to really bridge that connection so that I can operate from a higher frequency.
Hold on. This conversation was so inspiring. I hope you guys really, got some information out of it, got some inspiration out of it, took some notes. How can the people find you and connect with you online?
Oh yeah, so we are online. We are at www.newfire.com. That's NUFYAH.com. So yes, that's where you can find us at. But we are also on Facebook on Awaken Transformation, Facebook at Awaken Transformation. That will take you to the Life Alchemy page, and you can also see us there.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to see, what the future holds for your coaching program and your marketing program. I know you had some other things you want to do out here in the community, so I know I'll be seeing you out here soon. Anything else you want to say before we go?
Oh yeah, just I thank you for the opportunity to just really put out into the atmosphere. I believe in I'm a very spiritual person, so I believe that this conversation right here is a great opportunity for me to speak into the atmosphere. That transformation and that awakening that's necessary in our people. I already know that I'm selling a product that people don't know they yet need, but I understand also that there's a you that you haven't met yet, and when you meet that version of you, you're going to be a greater asset to not only to the community but to the world at large. And that is where I want to go. I want to impact the world with greatness, impact the world with people who are minds are free and no longer listen. The universal identity crisis is real simple, and you can see it mathematically. They say that 80% of people are followers. That means there's 80% or more people who have an identity crisis because they don't even know how to follow their own selves. Now, that right there It's solid information. Need I say anymore?
Yeah, I don't even know how to follow that up. That's a great ending. Connect with Beacon Fyah, newfire.com, nufyah.com. Thanks for coming out. God bless. Good night. Psych.